What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the Dread Pirate Dr. Disaster, and I'm extremely proud of all of the progress that has been made by gamers in the gaming industry over the past year, as we've pushed back against all of the woke crap in games.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die!
As recently as a year or two ago, it would have been unthinkable for a game studio to come right out and publicly denounce political agendas in games. But the more of us who push back against this nonsense, the more normalized it becomes. And now we have another studio that's coming out and blatantly stating that they are not having this shit in their games. They are not interested in following in the footsteps of all the other studios who have seen stymied sales numbers in the past few years. CI Games, the developer for Sniper Ghost Warrior and Lords of the Fallen, have come right out and made a public stance against DEI crap, telling the world that they are not interested in this sort of thing because, get this, you're not going to believe it, but this is a company that has been paying attention to what gamers are saying, and they can tell that this sort of thing is not what gamers want. They can tell that the modern audience is not the majority.
Brilliant!
Brilliant.
That was bloody brilliant.
There have been a few trailblazer studios in the industry over the past year, paving the way for studios like CI to say this. But ultimately, the success of this movement, of this pushback against social justice crap and DEI quotas and all that shit, the success of this is due to you keeping your wallets closed when a game like Dragon Age or Star Wars Outlaws comes out, but then opening those wallets up again when a title like Space Marine 2 or Black Myth Wukong releases. The media tries to downplay it as much as possible, but the message to the modern audience has been very clear.
Lady, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store.
Alright, so let's talk about CI Games and the good things that we just heard out of them. As I said a minute ago, there have been some trailblazing studios who have made this path clear to other studios like Beacons of Light. Specifically, I could mention Saber Interactive, who made the badass game Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, and then the CEO publicly denounced getting political in games right after the release of Warhammer, saying he wants studios to get back to just making games fun again. There are some out there who dispute whether or not this was actually him who said it, because it was ultimately just a comment in an Asmongold video, but the media publicly came out and pushed back on the CEO for this, and he refused to denounce it. So, either way, whether it was him speaking or not, it doesn't matter at this stage. He has ultimately made a stand against wokeness. And of course, we have Warhorse Studios with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 coming out in about 3 weeks. Those guys have brilliantly trolled the media, who insisted that they add diversity to their games. They trolled them, insisting that yes, their new game would be chock full of diversity. But what they really meant was that in this game that is set in medieval Europe, it would be historically accurate and it would showcase a variety of European races. But now we come to CI Games. This article from Bounding Into Comics talks about what was said. We're going to read through it, and trust me when I say that when you hear what these guys said, it's going to fill you with all the warm fuzzies. It reads, the Polish-based developer who, in addition to the fantasy-action RPG duology Lords of the Fallen, are perhaps best known for the Sniper Ghost Warrior series. They offered their thoughts on the topic of modern audience writing while speaking to attendees of their recent investors chat. Hosted by CEO Marek Tymiński, SVP Development Tom O'Connor, and Global Marketing Director Ryan Hill on January 8th, the chat essentially served as an open Q&A session in which investors could press the studio on the current state of their operations. Per a recap of the chat provided by a Polish market news outlet, at one point during the chat, one such investor took it upon himself to ask a particularly burning question, bluntly asking the trio of CI Games representatives, "What is your stance on DEI in gaming?" Fielding the question on the company's behalf, Hill informed the curious guest, "We remain committed to producing player-first video games that prioritize an excellent user experience with compelling thematics and characters created specifically for core and adjacent audiences." And here's the fun part, the guy then said, "While some video games have recently taken the opportunity to embed social or political agendas within their experiences, it is clear that many players do not appreciate this, and as a result, we have seen a number of high-profile releases underperforming commercially during the last year alone. Our games will always be developed to maximize player enjoyment and commercial success, and as such, we will not be integrating any social or political agendas into these experiences going forward, having observed the high risk this can present." For further context, this post here from ex-user Pirate Nation shows what was said during this investor chat, and he wrote, "Lords of the Fallen studio CI Games will not integrate DEI elements in their games." But in a post that was quite illuminating, as you can see here, the CEO of CI, Marek Tymiński, underscored this by saying, "Exactly. No, we will not." Gamer sentiment is clearly really starting to sink in for the industry. Just the other day, as an example, we heard from the co-founder of Warhorse that these AAA studios are talking about these big YouTubers like the Critical Drinker and Asmongold. They are very cognizant of what YouTubers are saying about them, and they are very afraid of these sorts of YouTubers, because they know that gamers are getting galvanized. As I said at the top of this video, just a year or two ago, it would have been unimaginable for these studios to speak up as they are now, but public sentiment is rising against this woke shit in a big way. As more people speak out, the safer it gets to say what we are saying. I expect that in the next year or so, we will see more of these guys speak up, but we'll know that we have really made gains when some of these studios, like BioWare, Ubisoft, or Obsidian, as examples, but when some of these studios who have gone out of their way to push corporate wokeness onto people, when they suddenly turn around and make public statements against that crap, like CI just did, once one of these hyper-woke studios makes a turnabout, that will be one of the most crucial moments in the fight. But in the meantime, CI has a few games they're working on, including sequels to Lords of the Fallen and Sniper Ghost Warrior, so keep your eyes open for all that, but I'm gonna leave it there. Drop your support for CI into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.